Expecting the unexpected. Music festivals are not something that I would normally attend. However, guidance directed me to absolutely go, take my labyrinth, and be present for what I did not have any idea of. A young woman comes up to me and starts chatting as we're walking across the field. I ask her, "Where are you from?" She said, "Oh, I'm from everywhere. I came from Tennessee." I was like, "Oh, all right. And why did you come here?" This young woman was in her mid-20s. She was a traveler. She was filthy. Her hands and nails, her feet and toes, her clothes, her hair, her skin. It was obvious that she hadn't had a shower or a bath or any sort of cleansing for quite a while. I said, "Why are you here? What brought you up here?" "Oh, I want to volunteer. I want to meet people. And I'm looking for a teacher." "And what sort of teacher are you looking for?" "A spiritual teacher." As we're walking along in silence, she's looking around and I'm looking around, and we're just letting that space between us build. And then she turns to me and she said, "I think you're the teacher." "Why do you think that?" She said, "I'm not sure, but I think you're the one I'm supposed to find." So we arrived at my labyrinth, lying on the ground, the circles of bright colors. And she looked at it and asked me what it was, so I told her. And she said, "May I walk it?" And I looked at her and I went, "Not at the moment." And then I looked at her very calmly, very kindly, and I said, "I have a task for you. If you think I am your teacher, then this is what I would like you to do." And off in the distance, at the other end of the meadow, there was a lake. And I said, "I would like you to go into the lake, and I would like you to wash every part of you. Your hands, your nails, your feet, your hair, your skin, your clothes. I would like you to take several hours to get clean, relaxed, dry off. And then, when you feel you're ready, and if you still would like me to consider being your teacher, come back and see me." She just looked very quietly, her eyes wide open, and she nodded and turned and walked away. I watched her, and I really was not sure what the outcome would be at that point in time. Just in the couple of days beforehand, and in my own interactions with some of the rainbow people, the travelers as they call them, had not been positive. Because of my wisdom and my experience, I would often call out many of these young ones who would be, per se, dressed in white or some semblance of Indian or spiritual clothes. They were filthy. Their hands were filthy. Their hair was filthy. Yet they were touting, "I am of the light, and I will be the teacher, and I can, lead you to love," and all of the dialogue about love and peace and harmony, and this is what we're building in the world. Yet their outward appearance was very far from that. And there was many a time that I called these young ones on it, that if you are to be spiritual and you call yourself spiritual, then you are to walk that. And no matter what you look like, where you live, You have the ability, particularly in the summer, to never be dirty because there's always a lake around to wash. Some of them did not like that, and that didn't really bother me at all. In the hours since this young woman left, I had connected with several people who came and walked my labyrinth. I held space for them and sang and drummed and delivered a message for whatever that message was at that appropriate time. And it was probably 3 or 4 hours later that quietly this young woman comes up to me. She stood in front of me. She had indeed gone into the lake. Her hair was washed. The clothes had been washed and they had dried, or mostly dried. She stood in front of me and held out her hands and said, "Is this acceptable for you?" I was moved. I was so moved by her humility and her deep desire to follow the instruction that I had given her. Her hands and nails were not perfectly clean, but they were so much more clean than previously. And I looked at her feet, and it was the same. And I said, "Yes, now you can walk the labyrinth." And so I held space for her and gave her the directions. And as she walked this labyrinth, the meditative paths in of surrender and the meditative paths out of claiming that which was going to be new. She stood in front of me at the end of this sacred moment, a renewed light being. And indeed, I did become her teacher. For over 3 years, we interacted, we worked together, guided her through many paths, and she taught me many things too. To the point, a young woman who was not afraid of sleeping in the bushes on the side of a highway when she couldn't hitch a ride at night, to wandering across terrains and meeting people that she should never have come in contact with. She was so protected. But she was brought to me to open another door. And over just over 3 years, I watched her blossom. This was also a time that I had been doing morning sadhana, which was morning chants and prayers at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had been doing this for over a year. And I had shared many of these experiences in the Kundalini yoga that I had been doing with her. It was probably about the end of year 2. She went off and did some traveling. Through the work that we did, she was able to go and heal and mend the problems she had with her family and build up another new relationship with them all. She became interested in yoga, in Kundalini yoga specifically, and she started doing morning sadhana herself, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and walking from the little cabin that she was doing a work exchange on a property in Mendocino. She walked through the woods to meet the Kundalini teacher at just before 4 o'clock in the morning on the highway, and they would drive in and she would do the work. I was very proud of her after the end of nearly 3.5 years of working and guiding this young soul, that she announced, that she was really seriously considering becoming a Kundalini yoga teacher. The last time I saw her, she was dressed in white at a gathering in Española. She was clean, she was light, and she was bright. She had truly transformed from the forlorn, travel-weary, dirty urchin of a being to a bright light that was willing to step in and seek the teachers that were going to take her higher on her path. I was in great gratitude of meeting this young woman and being her guide for the time that we had together. Every now and again, over the years, I will hear from her, get an email, or she'll leave a message and just say, hey, I'm fine, checking in, bye. You never know where you're going to be called to be a teacher, to be a guide, to be an example for someone else who is wrapped up in a very strange package, a package that does not look welcoming, that does not look acceptable to society, that is less than attractive, that is less than whole, that is hard to look at. Sometimes we are put in those positions to see the depths of our commitment, the depths of our humanity, our compassion, and our willingness also to be called upon by Spirit to take directives and do that which we are guided to do for the reasons we have no idea why, because it's in the person's soul path. So I stay open to either seeking the teacher or being the teacher, seeking the student or being the student. For you are being guided by a very high power to make you a brighter spark in this place we call Earth.